What if I told you that your book could be the key to a six-figure income? Let's dive into that strategy. Hey there, welcome to Funnel Obsessed Academy, powered by Integrated & Co. I am Joel Lewis, and I'm going to be your guide along this journey through the dynamic world of sales and marketing funnels. Now, whether you're an author, a speaker, a business visionary, we've got insight to skyrocket your success. So let's dive into the topic today. So what we're talking about is the value ladder. So if you may or may not have heard this term before or seen an image like this, but specifically we're going to be looking at a 6 to 7 figure value ladder blueprint for authors. Okay. So if you're an author who have a previously published book, whether that book was published 6 months ago, 5 years ago, as long as your book is evergreen, meaning that the content in the book is as relevant and as impactful and as powerful today as it was when you wrote the book, multiple months, years ago, meaning that your book can still save lives, change lives, impact lives, right? So it's still valuable today as when you originally wrote it. So what is this image showing us? What this image is showing on the left hand side, it's basically a y-axis and an x-axis, right? So on the left-hand side, as you move up the y-axis, you're providing your readers, your customers, more value, right? That typically comes in a form of more of your time, more access to you. Okay. On the y-axis, as you're providing more value, more access to you, the cost is increasing, right? The cost of getting more access to you directly is they're paying a higher cost. Okay, so now why is it called a value ladder? I know the image here looks like steps, but I just want you to imagine it as a ladder. Each step, each rung on the ladder is moving them higher up on that value ladder, which i.e. equates to more value, more cost. Okay, so for authors, again, an author who have a previously published book, right? Wherever you are on your book's life cycle, whether it's been a couple of months, whether it's been a year or years, as long as your book is still valuable today, you can absolutely leverage your book as the first entry into your value ladder. Okay. There's a specific approach that we take. We call it the shelf to success framework. I've done some videos on this on LinkedIn. I'll probably drop some videos here on YouTube. But there's a framework that we've developed called the shelf to success framework, where you could leverage your book as a means to get your ideal customers to take them from social media as a cold prospect, get them into your world, meaning now you've acquired their name, their email, their phone number, and optionally their phone number, to get them into your value ladder in exchange for them getting access to your book, right? Now, if you have a sequence of books, right, this is great. That first book, maybe you wrote that first book 5, 6, 10 years ago. That first book can be your the first entry into your value ladder. In exchange, you're giving that book away for very, very reasonable cost, right? To your ideal prospect. They are getting that your book in exchange for some information about them and in exchange for some money. Okay. But that's the first entry into your value ladder. And what we look at this, how we look at this from a kind of like a broader perspective, is that these first two, that kind of like in that gold, yellowish, goldish, brownish, I'm horrible colors. These first two rungs is what we consider the first contact framework, right? Your first contact. So under the first contact framework, there's multiple different sub frameworks that could lead them into your value ladder. One of those sub frameworks is the shelf to success that I just mentioned. Okay, where you're leveraging your book, not an ebook, not blog posts, It's actually leveraging your book that you've already put in the blood, sweat, and tears to get out, to get published, to get it out into the world. We want to get it into the hands of your ideal customers, and but at the same time getting them into your value ladder. From there, with it still under the first contact framework, we could then present them with your digital content, right? Your digital courses, right? Ideally, these would be digital content. There's other things that we could present them with. We've had authors who have supplements, and we present them with some of those supplements because it just aligns with the book. But ideally, we would present them with digital content because the cost to reproduce those digital content, once you've created it, it's already it's done, right? So it's the cost over time. You could have a lot more volume of getting more individuals to purchase that digital content without having any additional overhead and cost. Okay, these two first rungs are all about establishing that first contact, giving that value exchange, getting them to, getting them access to what they desire and what they need that could solve their problems, their challenges, their struggles, in exchange for them giving you their information as well as paying for that value. Okay. From there, now they're in your world. We move on to these next two rungs, which is the engage and ignite framework. And then underneath the engage and ignite framework, there's multiple sub frameworks that we can leverage. But overall, this is where we want to start to engage. Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary Vaynerchuk Vaynerchuk talks about jab, 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 right hook in his book. And this is where now they've already been on your list because of the first two rungs here. We want to start to nurture them. We want to build that relationship, right? We want to continue to provide value, oftentimes for free, through email sequences, through text messaging, whether that's, and it may take a week for someone to engage and ignite. It may take a month, it may take a year, it may take multiple years. Everyone is different. How many touch points they need before they could trust you further to take the relationship to the next step. I know as business owners, we would like them to trust us right away and take that next step into the relationship. But everyone is different and requires more loving, more personal touch, more nurturing before they make that decision to take that next step. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, individuals have been burnt, right? And we got to respect that. We got to know that about our avatar, about our customers, that because of that, we have to feed into them more. We have to give more value for free to help them out. So to break down those barriers to eventually get them to a point where they can trust us, because the faster we could do that, unfortunately, they had a bad situation, but the faster we could get them to trust us because we know we can solve their problem, the faster we could get them past that point, right? And really make that impact and the change in their lives. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. So these two, some of the things that, some of the ways in terms of, again, giving that value, unlike the first two steps where it's basically a book and digital course, where it's, digital course is typically DIY. Now we do a group coaching program, right? That's one way. And that group coaching program could include the digital course, but it also includes access to you in a group format, like a one-to-many. It could be one-on-one program, right? Where some individuals don't want to do group, they want direct access to you. They've already been following you, the relationship has been built, they trust you, they want expediency to solve their problems, and they want to get direct access to you. Okay, so those are just the two examples of engaging and igniting. There's a lot more different types of ways you could give value to your customers. Okay. Then that leads us to the kind of like the last rung here. And every business is different. You may have multiple rungs. You may have less rungs. You may have more rungs. Oftentimes, you may only have a few of these rungs. And then as you start to build out these sub frameworks that I'm talking about, you start to develop more and more rungs into your business. You start to discover more ways you can help your customers, right? More ways you could impact their lives, more ways you could expedite the transformation in their lives, right? So as you start to realize those additional ways, that leads to building out more rungs in your value ladder, which of course, i.e., equates to you're diversifying your income stream because you're meeting your customers where they are, and you're providing a solution. Meeting them where they are, providing another solution, right? Because everyone, you may solve one problem, but everyone needs it solved in a different way. Does that make sense? It's just like individuals who learn better by listening, individuals who learn better by reading, individuals who learn better by seeing, and then individuals who learn better by doing, right? So everyone is different, even though you're solving the same problem, you're just solving it in different ways. And those different ways may involve more access to you, which means, hey, of course, you're running a business, you have to get paid for that more access. Okay, so that leads us to the last rung here, which is kind of like the gateway framework. Okay, again, just like with the other three, there are multiple sub frameworks that can be built out for this overarching framework. So, here, this is kind of usually this is the pinnacle of access to you. This could be, and this is usually higher ticket. This could be workshops. These could be events. In some cases, this could be your one-on-one program. You may not have this top tier, but in some cases, as a lot of times as entrepreneurs, as businesses that I work with, that we clients that we work with, you have a bigger vision of bringing in your community, because the first two rungs here is starting to grow that community, grow that tribe, right? And then usually as a business owner, you have a vision of like getting that tribe together in a private setting, group setting, where that they're flying out to meet with you. There's a whole 3 day, whether like implementation retreat, whether that's a workshop, whether that's live event. Those are usually higher, could be potentially higher ticket offers, right? In some cases, group coaching programs are higher ticket as well. So the configuration that I'm showing here can be changed up. This is not exactly what it might look like for your business, but what I'm showing you here is the concept of the value ladder, and how, if done correctly, building out this value ladder, you bring those individuals from the first contact framework, and you slowly and subtly and slowly move them with very little friction up your value ladder. And as you build out more rungs in your value ladder, you now see how you get from, you know, giving away a book for a low cost, to having these higher ticket offers that leads you to 6 and 7 figures in your business. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know, comment below. Let me know if you have any questions on any of that I covered today. We're going to be diving in deeper into this whole concept of value ladder. We're spending a lot of focus on authors over the last 4 weeks or so here. We're going to continue to focus on authors because we've had tremendous success with authors. If you're interested in taking the next step, look, one of my favorite quotes, and you probably hear me, you hear this quote many times, is the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Okay. And if you're an author who published a book or maybe multiple books, and maybe your first book has been on the shelves, it's kind of collecting dust, it's not any traction, any movement, so you felt you had to write your second book, then your third book, and you're just in that perpetual cycle of like, how many am I just going to just continue having to write books, and my first books just kind of fade away, and they're not bringing any value to my business, and they're not bringing any value to the individuals that I wrote the book for. Well, your journey is not over. I'm telling you, with these sequence of videos that we're going to be releasing for authors, that 1,000 miles is not over. Okay. You may have started that first step a long time ago and you thought that you got to the 1,000 miles. But I'm telling you, with utilizing this concept of the value ladder, starting with that first sub framework, which is the shelf to success framework that I mentioned, you could reignite the potential that still exists in your book. So, what is the next step along your journey? Your next step is to click on a link below you in the description and schedule a call with me, and we could start to talk about what it look like for you, build out your value ladder, blueprint out your value ladder, as well as that first sub framework, the shelf to success framework. So go ahead and take that next step along the journey, because your journey is not over. Your book can still have a massive impact, can save lives, change lives in a very profound way.